There's more than one way to grade the nation's number one tight end recruit.
Locked On presents The Portal, the daily podcast covering college football recruiting and everything NIL. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome back into another live edition of the Portal Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst. Thank you once again for stepping in. We're going to be talking all things recruiting today, and we're going to start off with the college football playoff. I have my strong takes later on in the show about who's ranked where and why, and also why fans need to stop whining so much. Also, latest recruiting news, who's committed, decommitted, class 26, class of 27. As always, we're going to talk about that. And to start off the show, we're going to discuss the top tight end recruits in the nation. Class of 26 is loaded, and I honestly think that it is one of the better groups that I've seen in a while. And I even had a hard time ranking them, even though I've seen several of these guys live and in person. Today's show is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can bet just $5. And if it hits, you can unlock $300 in bonus bets. Just download the FanDuel app today. Let's get started with the top tight ends. Let me be clear. This group is sickeningly talented. It's a lot of fun to see them. I live roughly an hour and a half from Kaiden Prothro. He's committed to Georgia. Maybe it's because I've seen him more. Maybe it's because I know him more. That's fair. So maybe I have a bias, but I have him number one because of not only his ability to catch the ball like a receiver. It's still debatable if he could play wide receiver. I think Kaiden Prothro is just as natural as it gets at Rivals Atlanta, dominant. At Rivals Under Armour Atlanta, dominant. At the Rivals events, you're going to see top guys, and same thing with Under Armour. These aren't just normal players. These are guys that are going SEC, Big Ten, etc. He was dominant as a receiving threat. And I've seen him play live. I've seen him in practice at Bowdoin High School. He's always the same guy every day, no matter the situation. The real reason, though, that I have him number one overall is the following story. And this is unfortunate for him, but it's just the day that I showed up. He was literally in the fetal position, laying on the goal line in a game last year prior. And I walked up and he's an hour or so before the game started. I'm like, what are you doing? Somebody told me he was sick, but it looked like he was about ready to die. And I thought there's no way on God's green earth that Kaiden Prothro is going to play tonight. And I thought I'd wasted my time making the drive. Sure enough, game time comes. He played. I don't think he quite played as many reps, but in the first half, they threw him the ball 3 times. He scored all 3 times. When the bell is rung, Kaiden Prothro shows up. That is a dog. And I'm not talking about it because he's committed to the Georgia Bulldogs. I'm just talking about a guy that really wants to play. He's so competitive. Quiet kid. Personality-wise, he reminds me of Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver at Ohio State. Very quiet. But his play is demonstrative. Catches the football away from his body. He can run routes like a boundary receiver. And he's a willing blocker. He needs to add weight. He's 210, give or take. But he's not a guy that's going to have a problem putting on weight. He's pretty thin. He'll weigh 230, no problem, at University of Georgia. And he will be a threat from day one. They've proven that they know how to use tight ends at UGA anyhow. So maybe that's my other bias. But it is what it is. The other guy that I think is pretty much a no-doubter to put towards the top, and he's more the traditional tight end, that's Mark Bowman. He's at Mater Dei. He's been through it for a long time. Everybody knew he was going to be good. When I first met him, I'm like, this kid's 15? Are you kidding me? Looks like he's 20 years old. Power is the first thing with Mark. He's got the frame. Kind of looks, think of any tight end that you thought of that is a rookie in the NFL that's that 6'5", 250 guy. That's Mark already. Pick whichever one you want. Is he better than Kaiden catching the ball? Debatable. But balance, it's Mark. So, like I said in the opening, it depends on your perspective. Whatever offense you want to run, you could look at this differently. With Mark, for any team that wants to run a lot of power football, I could see why you would want to have him on your lineup a little bit more. But if you're a really spread team, Prothro. If you're a team that is going to mix it up a lot, I guess it really wouldn't matter. But it depends on your definition. And that's the theme of this list. My number three guy is Eamon Premer. Bowman's out of California. Premer's out of Kansas. And this is where it gets hard. We don't get to see everybody. I live in the state of Alabama and I circle the Southeast. Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. Those are the states I'm in the most. Occasionally Louisiana, occasionally Tennessee, occasionally South Carolina, but predominantly Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida. He lives in Kansas. Now, I can watch all his film and know that he's really good, but how's he going to react to the same competition that somebody like Bowman's played? I have no clue. But watching the film of Premer, like, holy cow. He is very twitchy after the catch. He might be the best out of the top group in that regard. But again, the competition's just whatever. He's in Kansas. Hands are natural. He's got the frame to be a player that is an inline blocker, which Notre Dame, where he's committed, will absolutely ask him to do. Bowman's going to SC, and they run the ball better than people give him, a fair shake on. And they power as part of their deal, and they'll spread you out. So they'll use Bowman well. Notre Dame's a little bit like that, but they want to run it even more than SC. So I'm curious to see how well Ian will adjust to the power game. They'll be compared to each other because they're rival schools. And it's interesting because this is a kid that could have went to SC, or he could have went to a Texas, or he could have went anywhere. He had offers from just about everybody, even though he's from Kansas. That's the other thing to look at. This is the eye of the beholder. How do you want to view it? Because kids in Kansas, it's not going to be the same apples to apples comparison. Prothro's in Georgia. He's playing against a lot of guys at these tournaments and camps down in the Southeast. Bowman's played at all the 7-on-7 tournaments. And he's a guy that plays at Modern Day. He plays in the Trinity League in LA. So he knows what it looks like. But at the same time, you cannot go away from the athleticism that Premer has. And he's a hooper too. Like, he's a legit hooper. I think he's got a tremendous upside. Number 4 is another kid that is not from a traditional area. He's from Montana, Matt Ludwig. Look, he's going to Michigan, and he's pretty much, to me, the same thing as Premer, without quite as much twitch, but he's a power guy. He's going to Michigan. I love his upside. Haven't seen senior film, but I don't even care. He just did clips for a senior. He hasn't put together his whole reel. Maybe he never will. I don't care. He will knock you down. He can catch the football. He's all the little things. He's Mr. Consistency. Michigan's always been known for that in football, and their current coaching staff, that's what they want anyway. They want to be a power team. They want reliability with what they do. Ludwig will fit that very well. Number 5, Kendre Harrison. This young man is out of North Carolina, but like so many of the recruits that Oregon gets, they're outside their normal footprint. That's typical of the Ducks. 6'6", 6'7". He's a hooper. He's a guy that has got all the length in the world, all the athleticism. He just needs to reform and figure out exactly what his best traits are, because he's good at just about everything. Now, refine. He has as high a ceiling as anybody in the group. And if you wanted to rank Harrison number 1, I wouldn't have a problem with it. There's a little more risk. Like Bowman might be the highest 4 because he's already so physically developed. Kendre's not far from that. Like, he's a physically gifted young man. Now I need to see what he can do at Oregon. They're going to ask him to be kind of like Notre Dame. Power football is going to be a big part of it. And I expect him to be, a guy they use some in the receiving game. Sadiq, they've done a lot with him. This kid has as much talent in a lot of ways as Sadiq does. And that's a big statement. Just need to see the refinement. If he does, again, like, ceiling is beyond my reach, I think he's a guy that could be number 1 in any class. And he's the 5th guy on my list. That's how deep this group is. And there are several others that I could put in there as well. Just to give you an example, Brock Harris, the kid that's going to BYU, as far as just pure receiving tight end, probably the best. Like, he just has a natural feel for routes and catching the football. Max Sutter, kind of in that realm as well. He's a kid from Illinois. He's going to Bama. Tyler Ruxer, he's a kid from the state of Indiana. It's going to Oklahoma. He's underrated because he lives just outside of Evansville. But he's another kid that catches the ball well, does good things. Depending on the service, he's not in the top 20 for some of them, but the film doesn't lie. There are a lot of kids like this. Gavin Mueller, the kid's just decommitted from one school going to Miami. Another guy, easily could be a top 5 player. Another balanced tight end. This group is crazy good, and it's a lot of fun to watch. So overall, there is no number one just pure. I picked Prothro because I know him. Personality's right. And again, the story that's personal, watched it happen, sick as a dog, go out and catch 3 touchdowns in a half. By the way, I left at halftime. I didn't need to see any more. That's why I rank him number one. But there are several other tight ends in the class of 26 that if you put them at the top of the board, I wouldn't have a problem with. None at all. That's a good problem. All these schools have guys that can do what they need to do to be good. And I personally think the tight end is underrated. The 12 personnel is an attack formation because they're a matchup problem. Go ahead and put Max Sutter in the slot like he's going to Bama. As well as they scheme it, how many teams are going to have a guy that guards Mac? Not many. Same Premer at Notre Dame, same thing. You could use all these guys in that scenario. Prothro at Georgia. Good luck. You're going to have a guy that's much smaller on him in space, especially in red zone and short yardage. It will be a mismatch. So when we come back, going to talk about the latest commitments, and we're starting to see a trend with 27. There's been a lot of commitments here recently. That's next on the Portal Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay if you want, and you can get a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making a late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when you win your first $5 bet. Head over to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you once again for making the Portal Podcast your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network, the number one network in the land. I'm Brian Smith. Please become an everydayer if you have not already. Share and like this podcast. Let's talk about the latest commitments. We'll start with 26, but 27's I'm still having a hard time adjusting to the fact that a lot of young kids really are jumping into it. And I'm not sure exactly why, but it is wild. And so is my first commitment from the class of 26. If I told you that Iowa recently received a commitment from a very athletic, twitchy guy from Florida that's playing wide receiver, would you be surprised? Because it just happened. Vero Beach's own Xavier Stinson is now an Iowa Hawkeye, 6'2", 185. This kid can play for any of the Florida schools athletically. No doubt. He's going to play for the Hawks. This is probably their best wide receiver recruit from outside the Midwest in a decade. I don't know. They just don't get kids like this. This is a really big pickup for them. I expect Xavier Stinson to play early at Iowa. If he's on his P's and Q's, learns the playbook. That's always the big thing with young receivers. He could play a lot of reps as a freshman. Jalen Anderson. This is one of my favorite pickups for anybody in the last week or so. Junior college player going to Florida State. He's out of Pearl River Community College in Mississippi. Twitchy, athletic edge guy. Really big pickup for the Noles. They need edge guys really, really bad. Tulane, Kaiden D's, Montgomery Catholic, great program in the state of Alabama, defensive lineman. He's going to Tulane. Ohio State got Braxton Rimbert. He's an edge, 6'5", just over 200 pounds. I don't know exactly what spot he's going to play, but man, he is athletic as all get out. Wake Forest, they got a couple guys. Michael Bright, he's a safety. Langston Hogg, interior offensive lineman. West Virginia gets Kevin Brown. If you guys didn't see it, he did a couch burning on McAfee's show on ESPN Live because he committed to West Virginia. That's wild. I was just texting with somebody about that. That's truly crazy, but he was originally committed to Penn State. Kevin Brown is awesome offensive tackle prospect. Congrats to the Mountaineers. Illinois, Alfred Washington, Northeast Mississippi Community College, offensive tackle going to play for the Illini. Navy gets Alexander Brewer, interior offensive lineman. He's out of Georgia. Wide receiver Hudson Lewis out of Idaho is going to Oregon. I did not see that one coming. Miami, they get the commitment of Gavin Mueller. Tight end, he is a kid out of the Illinois area. He was priorly committed to Colorado. Leon Knoll Jr. out of Edna Carr, really good program. In New Orleans, has decided to go play for Mississippi State. In Indiana, flips Benjamin Novak from Wisconsin. He's from the region. That's what they call it up in the northwest part of Indiana. He was committed to the Badgers. He is now committed to Indiana. And as promised, the 2027 recruits. I'm not sure what's going on here, but overall, the theme is very, very simple. There are a lot of kids making decisions. So I'm going to get through this quickly, but I think we're going to be jumping into 27 more and more. Noah Parker, he's out of Macon County in Georgia, committed early to the Dogs, which means he's really good because Georgia's super picky about offering kids that they will take early, and running back is never a problem for them. So I need to research Parker. I don't know much about him. I want to watch a little bit of film. I'm curious to see him. Eli Johnson out of Steele High School, just outside of San Antonio. Long and lengthy, 6'3", 200, going to play for the Buckeyes. Speaking of the Buckeyes, Brody McNeil out of Virginia, offensive tackle, 6'5", 285, going to play for the Bucks. A&M, Jaquan Snell. This kid is an absolute thumper. I love this player. Great pickup for the entire program because I think he can play a lot of spots, but probably a safety. 200 pounds, give or take. Maybe he grows into a linebacker, but Jaquan Snell is a thumper. His film is really good. He's out of Waxahachie in the Dallas area. He's going to play for the Aggies. He could end up being a 5-star recruit. It would not surprise me. Mikhail Davis, corner. He's going to Oklahoma. He's from Goodyear, Arizona. And then Wyatt Frey, or Fry, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, 6'5", 220. He's going to play for Northwestern. He is out of the state of Nebraska. Now, last thing here, I just want to make a few comments about the college football playoff. Nothing real special, just point blank. Number one, I don't think there's any doubt that Ohio State is number one. I don't think many people would really argue with that. My number two is different, and this is the only thing I will complain about the committee. They rank teams too much on whether you have a win more than somebody, like it's tiers. There's no way to have fair schedules because college football schedules, no matter what you think you're getting in a season, too many things can change. College is very volatile. If you ask the bookies in Vegas, they would much rather you guys play the parlays on college than pro because college is much less likely to win. Why? College is more volatile. So there's no way to do it. But yet they still just rank based on wins. Like I'm an Indiana grad. There's no way you're going to tell me Georgia's not going to beat Indiana if they played them right now. And Georgia isn't better prepared. Indiana's schedule is kind of faded. Iowa's a good win on the road. Okay, Penn State's not very good, but they barely get out of there alive. They win the game at Oregon. They didn't have to play Michigan. They didn't have to play Ohio State. They didn't play anybody out of conference. Okay. A&M, they looked like garbage last week. I know they had the great comeback, and they had the comeback against Notre Dame late. Notre Dame choked that away. And they've been good this year. But are Indiana and A&M better than Georgia? The only reason they're ranked below is because they've got a loss. Indiana didn't play Alabama. A&M didn't play Alabama. I think Georgia should be ranked number 2, but that's just my opinion. The only other thing I'll say, somewhat related to Bama, everybody seems to be complaining no matter where their team is ranked in some way, shape, or form. 2 points. Number one, unless you're going to list all of the points, good and bad, one or the other, both, for your team, I don't want to hear it, which would end all discussion. Nobody does it. They only list the one that supports their school because they're 100% biased. I don't care. Could care less. So for Alabama fans complaining about where they're ranked behind Notre Dame or Miami behind whatever it is, I could list several things for both those teams. And if I would have had Notre Dame 9th, but I would have had it differently in terms of the overall rank on some of the teams. It's very, very close. And there's a couple games left here. It'll take care of itself. But like Alabama, you guys don't even try to run the football. Don't even try. Like, that's just one of the things. And you can't tell me Ty Simpson's not hurt. The way he's throwing the ball all season, and in the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden he's all over the place on any throw over 20, 25 yards. He's not healthy. I'm sure the committee knows that. Alabama's not going to list that on their sheet. They're not. They're not. They're not going to turn that in. And Ty may not even be telling them what's wrong either. Wouldn't be the first player to do that. Notre Dame has several injuries. That gives me pause. If you wanted to rank them further down based on their injuries, I'd have no problem with it. They're still playing really good. No problem. Oklahoma, they beat Alabama, but they won the turnover battle 3-0 and didn't even have 300 yards of offense. Their offense gives me pause. If you wanted to rank them further down, I'd have no problem. Over and over again, all these teams. Texas Tech, I don't have any problem with them at number 5, but who have they beat? They play a Big 12 schedule. It's not very good. It's not. They're good, but they haven't been tested, especially in the trenches. That league is bad in the trenches. It's not very good. So we don't know what their attrition would be like if they played in the Big 10 or the SEC. There's a lot of different ways to look at it, and every team has more warts than what any fan is saying online about their school, because they refuse to give a full overview of their school because they know they have warts. Sometimes they just refuse to admit them, but it's still the same. So I say, shut up to those fans. Deal with it. If your team isn't ranked as high as you wanted, they should have won more games. And my only real complaint, again, I think Georgia should be number 2 because I think it's clear they're the second best team. That's my opinion. And I think the only reason they're not is they have a blemish. They lost a close game to Alabama, and it was at home. But I'm an Indiana grad, and I'm saying that. What does that tell you? So with that, thank you very much for making the Portal Podcast a part of your day each and every day right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We will see you again tomorrow.